safe streets, vibrant neighborhoods, successful business and commerce. These are things that make a healthy community. We are a diverse community, rural, suburban, urban, a multitude of languages and ethnicities, ages and experiences. We are a collaborative community. Public-private partnerships make us a model community that others want to follow. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us strong. The employees of Kent County reflect our diversity and seek to serve our communities.
People in this county, in this area, we wrap our arms around each other. We come together to collaborate, to solve problems. We're all working for the good of the whole. And I think that's wonderful. And you can see it. You can see it as you drive around Kent County.
Our impact starts the day a baby is born and a birth certificate is issued, to protecting children from deadly diseases through vaccination, to the public safety and justice provided by law enforcement and the courts, to offering veterans services and caring for the elderly. Every day we work to keep our communities robust.
I think if you are somebody who's interested in serving your community, in building a strong knowledge base and a good group of people to work with, then the county is one of your best employment opportunities out there. It's been completely rewarding in every way I could possibly explain for 26 years, and I feel like I grow every single day still today.
Leading these dedicated employees, our 19-member Board of Commissioners and our County Administrator Controller, along with our elected officials and appointed department directors, placing emphasis on civic involvement, quality housing, vibrant neighborhoods, and strong, solid infrastructure to allow businesses to thrive. Professional, dedicated, collaborative, and innovative.
Behind the scenes, collaboration between foundations, charitable organizations, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, public sector demonstrated through the county, the city of Grand Rapids, the townships, all the cities and the villages in our area. If we don't come together, then we will not have the strength that we have today, and I only hope to build upon that.
Our aim is to make our communities the best they can be. We are involved in exciting development projects, sustainable recycling programs, and creative progressive prevention programming. We partner with elected officials, impacting policy ideas that become great achievements. We seek opportunities to reach out into the community and offer our services to help our residents make Kent County thrive.
Our relationship is solid, both from a staff standpoint at the county level as well as the Board of Commissioners. And they understand what we do and the benefits that we can do for the community, and vice versa. We couldn't do what we do without the help of Kent County.
While most of us are busy running our lives, Kent County's elected officials, administrator controller, and over 1,600 employees are serving the communities where we live our lives, so we can all have a place we are proud to call home. Kent County, its life well run.
Good morning, everyone. It's 8:30. It's time for the Physical Resources Finance Committee. I just read that backwards. That's good. Surprised you didn't. Item number 1 is public comment. Anyone in the audience need to or want to speak to us? Seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda.
So
Items
moved.
A through E. Got a motion?
Support.
A support? Would anybody like to remove any of those items for further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. We'll go on to item 3, which, Darrell, please.
This is a request to recommend to the board to approve an amended contract between the Community Development Department and Home Repair Services and authorize the board chair or his designee to sign the contract. Kent County currently contracts with Home Repair Services utilizing Community Development Block Grant funds to provide home repairs up to $3,500 for eligible clients outside of the cities of Grand Rapids and Wyoming. The Kent County CDBG program currently has over $500,000 in home repair funds available from previous fiscal years that it can be utilized in the community. The amended contract allows Home Repair Services to expend up to $10,000 per unit for eligible clients from March 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2016, and increases its contract amount by $150,000. As part of the ongoing program review, the Community Development Department will be assessing this program change to determine if it will be made permanent in future years. The amendment to the original contract has been reviewed and approved as performed by corporate counsel.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Questions? Katz?
Thank you. I just have one question and that is, do you know if these funds are being used for lead abatement?
I'll refer that to Matthew Van Zanten, who's the Acting Director of Community Development.
I do believe that would be an eligible service if it was identified through the inspection process.
So that could be a part of the now $10,000 for, okay. Harold?
So the program has $500,000 in funds that are there, available but not used?
So in past fiscal years, what I'm finding is that we've carried over dollars from previous fiscal years in our home rehab program. And so we do have over $500,000 available in this fund. And so we're trying to move some of those dollars into the community right now due to some HUD regulations. So we want to look and see if this opportunity to increase the amount, so allow easier for roofs. You know, many roofs are more than $3,500. Some other septic system work, some larger ticket items, if we might get more penetration, if you will, to spend the funds. What we're finding is when we have another program that complements this called our 0% interest loan program, which a homeowner, an eligible homeowner, could borrow the money at 0% interest. But we're seeing that we're not getting very many takers on that. And so we need to draw down some of these $500,000. And so this is a way to test something.
So we got $500,000 sitting there. Is it because there was no needs? You know, this is what upsets me about government, where we got pockets of money sitting there. People work hard for their tax dollar. Tax dollars should be working for them. And here we are sitting in a $500,000 fund balance in an area to meet needs of families and peoples in their homes. I find that hard to understand.
Yeah, I agree with you, Commissioner Voorhees, and that's why we're trying to change the program in respect to draw down those dollars and get them out into the community. And if we're successful in getting more people engaged, I would anticipate we'd be looking at making more changes as to that, how we do that.
Roger.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Chair. Is part of that because the eligibility requirements are getting so restrictive in some of these programs, it's difficult to spend the money?
I don't know if
Fair question.
No, it's a totally fair question. I think, I don't know if that's it or not. I think we can market the programs better. We've been reaching out through many of our contacts, local units, but also some of the nonprofit organizations like WEMIAC with septic repairs in out-county areas that they run into and trying to get more marketing materials. So we're trying to change the manner in which we promote the work. I've been working with Lisa LaPlante to do some different design work, central services, to get different pieces of collateral so that we can help sell better. But in the meantime, we're trying to make a change here in the short term to see if we can expend more dollars in the community. And then we'll evaluate that to see if we want to continue this going into the next fiscal year.
David?
I don't know if we could just take the opportunity to introduce the new Director of Home Repair Services who's with us for the first time today, and I would hate to just miss that opportunity to
Thanks.
introduce
Yeah,
him.
so Joel Ryder, the new Executive Director of Home Repair Services, and Chris Romero, a program staff, are here. Joel has replaced Dave Jacobs, who retired after a long, prosperous career at HRS. And so we're happy to work with our new partner, Joel, and the work that they're doing in the community. So we're glad he's here too today.
Oh, Joe, if you could stand up right quick. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you. Any other questions about the, Matthews?
One chair.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, when you get to the point where there is a plan to roll this out in more detail and to get a little more traction to it, if we could be included on that, because I think of my area and the network that I have with Facebook, with my connections with local elected officials. So when you get to that point, please know I'm willing to be engaged.
I appreciate that. Just as a heads up, I will be meeting with township supervisors at their next supervisors meeting in April, just to introduce myself and to talk about some of the opportunities we may have in the near future with the Community Development Block Grant Program. So this year, as we usually come in about June, our grant year is July 1 through June 30. We'll be having some opportunities to share with you information on changes that we'll hopefully be able to make.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? The first bullet point, Matthew talks about for eligible clients outside of Grand Rapids and Wyoming. Are we newly reaching out to those people, or?
So Grand Rapids and Wyoming are their own entitlement areas, so they receive funds directly from HUD themselves, so which doesn't allow us to work in those communities. And so the funds that are eligible are for people that make 80% of the area median income. So that's how this is determined. So they're eligible clients in that respect. So we can serve all of Kent County except for the city of Grand Rapids and Wyoming.
All right, thank you. Any other question? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 4, please, Darrell.
This is a request to recommend to the board to approve submission of a grant application to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund to acquire approximately 145 acres of property to expand Chief Hazy Cloud Park and to commit to funding the required local match if awarded. Chief Hazy Cloud Park in Ada Township currently encompasses 122.6 acres with 0.9 miles of frontage on the Grand River. The park is in an area where development pressures are strong and population is growing. The Parks Department has been in discussions for more than a decade to acquire approximately 145 acres of land immediately northwest of the park, including 1.3 miles of undeveloped river frontage. This land is now available to the county for purchase at an estimated cost of $3,075,000. Acquiring the land is consistent with several objectives set forth in the department's Parks, Trails, and Natural Areas Master Plan. The Parks Department seeks to submit a grant request to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Natural Trust Fund, requesting 70% of the purchase price in grant funds. The remaining 30% will be a local match from various sources. The final purchase price will be determined by the DNR appraisal process as required by the grant. An action request to accept the grant, appropriate grant and match funds, and authorize the purchase will be brought back to the Board of Commissioners if the grant is awarded or approved. The county will be notified in December of this year if the application is successful. If awarded, funds would need to be expended within 2 years.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support? Support. Questions?
Roger, did we have another grant related to this property or near this property, or?
It sounds familiar because it's the same grant we applied for last year, which we did not get because the trust fund just didn't have enough funding in there.
Okay, so we scored okay?
We scored fine, but there wasn't enough money, and there were a couple of big projects last year that took the money.
I thought it was a bit deja vu-ish. Thank you.
Roger, process question here. You have it projected at $3,075,000, but the DNR will appraise the property when it goes through the process?
So if the grant's awarded, then about a year from now, I'll come back with a project agreement, and then after that, then we hire the appraisers. And they do an appraisal based on a DNR standard.
Okay. Diane first, and then Harold.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a quick question for you, Roger, on the process. Who actually fills out the grant? Is that someone who?
We do.
You do? And is it similar then to what you did last year?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Roger, when you mentioned about the appraisal, then they appraise the present value. Do we ever look at what the value would be if it was developed out? I'm just kind of questioning what kind of a revenue base are we losing when we move a valuable piece of property like that?
Well, the revenue base is different than how it's valued as real estate at the time. So it's going to be valued and appraised at highest best use, which is going to be some residential on this property.
Yeah.
Anybody else? So we're gonna, this is the second go-around on this piece, and hope we're successful. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 5, Darrell, please.
This is a request to recommend to the board to add the following positions to provide emergency dispatch service for the city of Wyoming. 1 emergency communications supervisor 2, 1 emergency communications supervisor 1, 7 emergency communications operator 2, and 3 emergency communications operator 1, to convert 3 part-time emergency communications operator 1 positions to 1 full-time emergency communications operator 1, and to appropriate $398,406 from local unit reimbursement and transfer $51,365 from the Sheriff 2016 Road Patrol budget to the Sheriff 2016 E911 budget in the general fund. The City of Wyoming currently contracts with the City of Grand Rapids for provision of law enforcement and fire dispatch services. Effective July 1st of this year, the City of Wyoming desires to discontinue its contract with the City of Grand Rapids and enter into an agreement where Kent County will provide these services. In order to provide dispatch services for the City of Wyoming, the Sheriff Department is requesting the addition of 12 new full-time positions, as well as the conversion of 3 part-time positions into a single full-time position. The county applies a consistent formula to allocate law enforcement and fire dispatch costs to all participating localities for which the county provides these dispatch services. The Sheriff's Department 2016 budget will be amended to add the cost of the additional staff to provide dispatch service to Wyoming and to add the City of Wyoming as a payer into the cost allocation formula. The county general fund support for this program will increase by $51,365 in 2016 because the county will subsidize a portion of the cost of providing the City of Wyoming with fire dispatch as part of a 3-year phase-in for fire dispatch expenses for all participants in the cost allocation plan. Approval of the request for additional staffing is contingent upon the approval of the related service agreement, which has been recommended for approval by the Finance and Physical Resources Committee at its March 1st meeting. In the event that funding is eliminated or decreased, the positions will be eliminated unless continuation funding is approved pursuant to the county's fiscal policy on grants, contracts, and donations. And this item was recommended for approval by the Legislative and Human Resources Committee at its March 8th meeting.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Thank you. Questions? This is we've got a lot of discussion about this adding Wyoming in, and this is now the expense piece of it. Matt?
Is there going to be any staff that's currently at the Grand Rapids Dispatch that'll be available?
I'm going to refer that to Under Sheriff Young. I know that we're currently in the process of doing a recruitment. So.
We're in the process of recruitment. In the event that we get any applicants from the City of Grand Rapids, obviously an experienced dispatcher would be very heavily considered at our end. But to be honest, at this point, I'm not confident that we are getting any applicants from the City of Grand Rapids. And I don't expect that they would have layoffs as a result of this transaction.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
This is just 1 year of the contract?
It'll go through
Or
December.
a year and a half?
Yes.
Okay.
December 31st of 2017, which is consistent with all of the other
So
agreements.
tie everything together.
Nice.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Michelle, I'm kind of interested in the fact that Wyoming's leaving Grand Rapids Dispatch and they're not going to lay anybody off. I don't get that. But
Well, there's a couple of factors at play with that. One is they have a number of parties who are eligible for retirement and expected to lose some staff over the course of this year regardless of this. And then the other issue is the way that their structure has worked at Grand Rapids, it caused a great deal of overtime for every one of their staff. They average about 500 hours a year in overtime. Some of that had to do with never really having gotten up to staff levels due to a couple issues, initially with the recruitment, and then it's difficult to find dispatchers. So I expect that they would reduce their overtime and that the parties who are eligible for retirement will leave.
if I were a young kid today thinking about, and I'm not, but thinking about a career in dispatch, where would I go? Is there a place that you learn to do that, or is on-the-job training, or do I go to Raj Morgan's ambulance? Or?
Right, that would be a good place to start.
They've already taken enough dispatchers from the ambulance. So.
Yes.
So.
We kind of do a lot of talking to all the ambulance companies for as soon as we know we're going to have a recruitment. It's a difficult answer because there is not a educational path directly to dispatch, and in fact, it's a skill set that frankly you don't know you have until you've tried it. We have a lot of people who come to the center, they'll work for about 6 weeks and either will decide that it's not the best path for them or they'll decide it because it's very overwhelming for them. KCTC has a program that kind of orientates somebody to it. We look for people who have some educational experience because there's a lot of complicated things to learn. They need to have a demonstrated ability to learn. But we also look for somebody with backgrounds in multitasking, which is really, really important. Some of the best dispatchers we have experience in waiting tables or working at an establishment such as that where you have to keep multiple orders going all at the same time. You know, some of them have previous, in fact, in order to be a ECO 2, which is our elevated level, you have to have had at least 6 months experience in another dispatch center, another public safety dispatch center, which is why we do shake the doors of the ambulance company.
Well, you steal them from Raj.
Right. And we've talked about this in previous meetings, but it's really important for us to retain staff. That is one of our fundamental things. Our turnover rate at Kent County is about 11%. It's about half of the national average. And so we do that through really trying to work with the employee, make sure we're meeting all their needs, but we also do that through a very good package that Kent County has to offer, and that's something we're always going to need to keep a focus on because it costs about $50,000 to bring somebody in the door and make them eligible to dispatch their first call. It's very important for us to focus on.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions about that? Roger?
Just, there is a certification program or training course that you send them to as you're recruiting them, and then they come back, or how does that work as far as?
It's our train.
We do it, we have to do it because we do the pre-arrival, so we send them to the Clausen's training program.
Right.
You do that? Or?
There's we don't do the pre-arrival
We do.
parts of
Yeah.
it. Yes, because you guys do that for us.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. There is a 40-hour certification for a telecommunicator that is required through the state of Michigan. There are grant funds available to affect that training, and that usually happens within the first year of employment at the Sheriff's Department. It is a difficult thing for somebody to grasp if they've never worked in the center. So doing it pre-employment isn't as effective that we've found as doing it during that first year employment. So their first 12 weeks with us are sitting side by side with another dispatcher, managing calls and being instructed as they're being monitored. They actually get graded every day while they're working for that first, it's called a CTO period, and they're given a set of instructions. They're monitored over the course for their progress on that until they actually graduate that program. And then that 40-hour happens during that year. And we actually are certified to train it. So often we will train our own 40-hour.
They are the gatekeepers to the system.
Yeah, that's right. If they don't get the right information, we don't have it for response.
So it seems like going into this, there's going to be some cost, the training and all that kind of stuff. Is all that included in all these numbers?
Yes, but it's not an exact cost per person because it does matter what experience they have coming to us. So it will be variable. So what you'll see is, on average, those employees will cost us about what we have budgeted in this budget. It will all easily be able to be absorbed within our dispatch budget itself, but I can't give you an exact dollar amount for every person because you don't even know if they're going to take full benefits, or there are some people that will be hired at a higher pay scale because they have previous experience. I don't have any of those exact numbers until I have the employees, but on average, this is what it costs us to bring people in.
Good. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Michelle? Go ahead.
Real quick on that turnover piece, is it the nature of the job or just getting pinched by higher paying places? I mean,
This is a very strong job market and for a skilled person. So once somebody has had experience in a dispatch center such as ours, they're very portable. They're they're well sought after for customer service type positions, higher end positions where they have to make quick, decisive moves. So, and those positions often offer more flexibility in your schedule. Weekends or holidays or, snowstorms or all those other random things that you get called in for. So initially our biggest reason for turnover is because the job is overwhelming to them. Once somebody gets established, and what other centers often find is if they don't pay in a way that keeps somebody committed to the organization, i.e. a good retirement system, good benefits, a solid holiday and vacation package, they will lose their employees as they get to be about 5 years into the system, where we typically will not lose somebody after that first year of employment.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 6, Darrell, please.
This is a request to recommend to the board to establish the county delinquent tax revolving fund 2016 collection account for the 2015 calendar delinquent real property taxes, and to authorize the sale of general obligation limited tax notes series 2016 in an amount not to exceed $25 million. The Board of Commissioners annually approves the establishment of a delinquent tax revolving fund collection account pursuant to the provisions of state law. The county has annually issued tax notes to pay local governments and itself for delinquent real property taxes and has been doing so since 1973. Last year, the county issued $19.2 million in Series 2015 tax notes for the delinquent 2014 real property taxes. The note proceeds are utilized by the county treasurer to purchase the right to all delinquent 2015 real property taxes that are due to any governmental unit that levies taxes. The county treasurer is able to assess an administrative fee and interest to cover any costs associated with this activity.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Questions? Roger, Harold, and Diane.
Okay, just a comment. Whenever I'm approached by the local municipalities up north and what the county has done for them lately, I kind of point to this. This is one of those programs where we purchase their delinquent taxes and take them off their books. So this is a great program that we do for the local community.
Schools included.
My question may be more for Ken Parrish, treasurer. Ken, is this a kind of a lesser amount? I always thought we were more in the 30 million range or better, so are we a little less?
We were at one time, kind of during the height of the housing crisis and bank failure crisis and all of that. But over the last several years, it has declined. We don't have the final numbers yet, but the indicators are all positive that going forward, hopefully the number will continue to decline. But you do remember correctly.
I do remember.
It's just been a few years, so.
Good. That's good.
Thank you, Chair. To piggyback on what Commissioner Morgan was saying, I've been on the local government side and always approved the list that would come to you. For the people who might be watching this, if you could give a little more detail about the program, how it operates, and really what it does. Commissioner Morgan did a good start on how it helps the local community, but really, I think it's a program that has a lot of benefits beyond that, too. Could you just give the big overview for anyone who might stop to watch this online?
Sure, I'd be happy to. In Michigan, the local units do the initial tax billing, so they send out the summer and winter tax bills, and they do the initial collection of those bills. Anything that remains unpaid as of February 28th or this year, February 29th, the following day is deemed to be delinquent, and at that point, it is returned to us to collect. And that part of it would happen whether we were involved in this program or not. What this program does, however, is it allows us to, as Commissioner Morgan said, buy the receivable from all of the local units. So they are made whole on their tax revenue for the year by this program. The county's general fund and the special millages that we collect are also made whole by this. And then we do that through the borrowing of the funds. And then as we collect the tax revenue over the course of the next 2 years, between the tax revenue itself that is collected, the administrative fee, and the interest that are attached, we then are able to pay the delinquent tax notes off in full, and typically have a bit of a excess that is also available to the county. So the benefit to the local units is that rather than them receiving their tax money as it trickles in over the next 2 years, they get it all up front. They know that their revenue is there. It's much easier for them for budgeting and cash flow purposes. And it works for the county in the same way, and it works for the county in that we do generate a little bit of surplus through this program. We're able to borrow and over the last several years, it's been significantly lower than a 1% interest rate, and so we've been able to build a little bit of a surplus out of that as well, which ultimately comes back to the general fund.
Thank you.
David?
Yeah, I mean, we get to borrow for nothing, but then we get nothing for our deposits as well. So that comment aside.
That is true, yeah.
So unless you got a lot of money, you're not making money on money. So we're basically.
Can you say that again?
I don't think you can.
It's slower.
That's right. That's right. So real quick, the easy question. So if Grand Rapids is owed $100, we pay them $100.
Yes.
So we don't even. We don't buy for 99 cents on
No, we do not. There's no discount on it. We do pay
Okay.
100%.
So that's even a better program to our.
I wish they had it for an ambulance business or a cookie manufacturer.
Cash flow
Or
issues.
transportation.
Whatever we have. Well, the rapid. Never mind. And then the deja vu piece is when do you present us with the charts in the sense of like how much of the 13, 14, 15 has been paid off? I remember you provide that to us, like the 19.2 we borrowed last year, when we see how much of that has been collected, and
We do that when we present the financial overview, which is a package that we submit and present to the credit rating agencies. And then following that presentation, Steve Duarte will provide a presentation to the Board of Commissioners, and that's
So
where
it's
it's
in May-ish?
included. Yes. yeah.
Okay, yeah, just, yeah, I enjoyed that chart as well, because it does show the numbers to say, yep, we are keeping up and making that
Yes.
little bit of dollars
Yes,
on this.
we've always done real well with that.
And then last question is, what does it cost us to borrow $25 million when it comes to just all the other fees?
Approximately $50,000.
$50,000 to do the legal work and issue the bonds and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
Harold?
Ken, do we have a balance in that fund to date? I mean, is it a revolving, you carry it on?
There is a balance, but basically, we leave the funds there because this resolution that you're approving pledges all of the delinquent taxes collected, fees and interest that come in toward the payment of the notes. So as long as the notes are outstanding, we leave the balance there. But once the notes have been paid off, which is typically would be 2 years from now, basically, we then calculate whatever balance remains, and that is swept to the general fund. We do not keep up. We've not been building up a balance in the delinquent tax account more than what we need to meet the legal requirements. I believe this past year in 2015, I believe it was slightly over 4 million, maybe, Steve? Yeah, a little over 4 million that was swept out of the revolving fund into the general fund.
Roger?
Ken, real quick, you said it's been a good program for us. Do we get to collect the interest on that then?
Yes.
We do
yeah.
make a little bit of money on this program?
Well, as I said, we
Over the 2 years?
4 million last year that was swept out of it. So yes, I think it works well for the county and also for the local units.
Matt?
On the last bullet, it says you're able to assess an administrative fee and interest. I assume you do that since it also says no funding is required, but who do we assess those fees and interest on?
All of the delinquent tax amounts. So if somebody doesn't pay their taxes by March 1, on that very first day, there's a 4% administrative fee that's attached. And then we start out at 1% per month interest, which after a year, if it still remains unpaid, becomes 1.5%, all of which is spelled out in state statute. We don't just pick numbers of what we want to charge. It's all dictated to us by state law. But ultimately, it's the taxpayer, if they redeem their property, that pays those fees.
Would those fees be in effect regardless of whether or not we issued these bonds?
They would be in place. However, we would have to distribute, if we were not buying the receivable, if you will, and paying out the money trickling over time, interest then would follow the money. So we would, the interest would then be going some obviously to the county general fund, but also the local units, the schools, et cetera, would get their share of the interest. It's because we are buying the receivable that we get to keep all the interest.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Now we get to miscellaneous. Anyone have any miscellaneous? Really? I've got a couple. We're going to reschedule the April 5 finance meeting to March 29.
meeting is that?
Thursday.
That's a Tuesday.
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 March 29th is a Tuesday.
28 or 20?
It's the 29th.
29th is a
Like
Tuesday.
3 finance committee meetings a month, so is that what that does?
March 29 will be the next finance meeting. April 5th one will be canceled. Okay?
Works for me.
And then I'm going to appoint a small review subcommittee to look at the management pay plan as we know it today, to look at how it's working, if it's working, how people get moved through the plan, et cetera. I'm not going to try to explain it all right now, but Diane's going to chair it. Commissioner Bukowski and Voorhees are going to be on the committee. I've talked to all of them. They'll have a charge written and an ending date of like the 1st of June, which is pretty quick. But I'm hopeful we can do that. So Diane, if you can get with these two gentlemen and get that and work through Pam as far as scheduling the dates and that kind of thing. And I appreciate you guys doing that. So,
Will do.
is there anything else? Roger?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I had the opportunity to attend a committee meeting on the Michigan Public Safety Frequency Advisory Committee. I thought it was an episode of The Big Bang Theory. There's some geeks on this committee, and it's going to take me a while to get up to speed on it, but hopefully I'll be attending it regularly from now on.
Good, thank you. If there's nothing else, we're adjourned.
I am Kent County. I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
We are 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 Kent County.
Beya, Kent County. Ami, Kent County.
Somos Kent County.
Mas Ira, Kent County.
We are Kent County. We are Kent County. We are Kent County. Oh yeah.